Hello, and welcome back to my channel. And this is going to be a video about my favorite things in Final Fantasy XIV as a new player. This is something that people have been asking me on stream, at least for the last couple weeks. They've been curious about what I like the most. So I figured I'd make a video about it. And to be honest, there's not a lot that I don't like about Final Fantasy XIV, so trying to limit it down to my favorites was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. But to start it off, one of my favorite things in Final Fantasy XIV are the trials. Especially the fact that World of Warcraft doesn't really have this content in the game while leveling. And you have 8-man groups that you go into basically a big fight with a raid boss while leveling up throughout the story. And they also have like trial roulettes and things like that to do. And they are story oriented, so there's always like a story leading up to these trials. And they are just really cool fights. Even on normal difficulty, I was like, wow, this is something that is completely new to me. And I really, really liked it. I really wish that World of Warcraft had something like that for leveling, like to have basically a raid boss that you could just do, like as a quest. But that was basically the reason why I put this in this list, is because I just really thought that was a cool idea. And speaking of roulettes, roulettes are one of my favorite things to do while leveling up other characters or other jobs. It makes it so that you can just queue up and you'll get a huge bonus for whatever you're doing. You can queue up for dungeons, you can queue up for trials, you can queue up for PvP. The MSQ roulette, which a lot of people meme on because it takes so long, but it's like a half hour to 45 minutes of basically just the story. But it gives you so much experience, it's always worth it. And there's other roulettes as well that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're just really good for leveling up new characters, as well as giving you these things called the Elegant Tomestones, which you can use to purchase gear. Then you have the Gold Saucer. Probably the most interesting side content that I've done, which is basically a casino where you have a separate currency called MGP, and you go and gamble. It's not really gambling. You typically, I don't think you ever lose money or lose MGP. So they have these like tickets that you can buy, and you pick like numbers, and then you can have a chance to win the jackpot for that week. They have a bunch of mini games that you can do. They have like a strategy game called Verminion, which a lot of people hate, but I've been doing it because it gives so much MGP. They have Triple Triad, which is like a card game where you try to basically beat the other person's positions on the board. And they also have these little mini games called gates. And the gates happen every 20 minutes, and they give you a bunch of MGP every 20 minutes if you can finish them, or, get all the way through them. As well as, they're pretty varied. Like, you have jumping puzzles, you have a first-person shooter, you have basically, you test your luck, and there's a samurai that comes out and he slices tall bamboo sticks. And if you're standing in the wrong place, you get knocked off the platform. And if you're the last one on the platform, you get a bunch of money. Or at least if you get to the end, I think. So I thought that was a really cool idea. And one of my other favorite things about Final Fantasy XIV is the sheer amount of content in the game. While leveling up, as someone who's been streaming the game, there's a lot of things that have been brought to my attention that, to be honest, I would have never known about if I didn't have a stream. So there are, for instance, like the hunting log. Obviously, that's something that people learn about fairly early, but the challenge log, there is the different roulettes. There is the books that you get from, they're called the Wondrous Tales, which is really cool. Basically gives you a checklist of things to do, and you play bingo, and if you can get 3 lines, you get a super reward. And if you get 1, you get a smaller reward. If you get 2, you get a medium reward. And it's kind of fun. There are relics to do. Which is like huge grinds to get. Basically, in World of Warcraft, it would have been like an artifact weapon. Which I think is super cool. It gives you something to do, and the weapons look really good. As well as, like, you can hunt for glamour, which is the game's version of transmog. And there is a lot of things to do in the game, and that's just some of them. I know I'm missing a lot, such as like raids, trials. There's alliance raids that you can go do. There's so many different things that you can do on any given day that it's hard to actually do all of it every week. Um, at least for me, like it's just a lot. Not to mention all of these different raids and things have story kind of connected to them. Another thing that I've been spending a lot of time on is my relics, um, and I really enjoy the idea of relics in the game. The way that they're implemented is you have one per expansion. For instance, if you're a base class, for instance, my paladin, I have one at level 50 that I can choose to level up. It has different stages, and each stage looks different. Um, so you get a bunch of different transmog opportunities, glamour opportunities for doing your relics, and each one has several stages. To be fair, they are very long grinds for most people, um, and it's something that a lot of people do at the end of the game. I started doing it because I was like, I really like this idea, so I started doing it. And yeah, it does take a little while. I like to do that sort of thing, so that's why I started it. And then finally, it's something that I feel like you can't really avoid talking about, and that's the story, because the entire game is the story. Um, from when you first start the game until the end of Shadowbringers, which I'm not even in Shadowbringers yet, I'm almost at the end of Stormblood, that is all story. It's one continuous story. There are very small little side story things that happen, but for the most part, it's all one big main story. And it's really good. The early story, obviously, a lot, like it's okay. The ARR story is like, but it gets so much better. The writing gets better. The voice acting gets so much better, and it's just like really, really good. And I think that pretty much sums up all of my favorite things about Final Fantasy XIV. So yeah, those are my favorite things. Thank you guys for watching this video. And if you like the video, please like the video. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what your favorite things are in Final Fantasy XIV. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So, goodbye.